What if everything you thought about Meghan Markle's royal love story was a lie bought by billions? That's not a tabloid headline. It's not clickbait. It's the quiet question now echoing through marble hallways, whispered inside luxury boardrooms, and murmured over cappuccinos at private members-only clubs from London to Los Angeles. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Because what if the world's most talked about fairy tale, the one about the beautiful American actress who stole a prince's heart, wasn't as romantic as it seemed? What if, behind the cameras, the curated Instagram feeds, the Netflix docuseries, and stage charity appearances, there was another man, not a rival lover, but a billionaire, a puppet master, a man whose name is rarely uttered in public, whose net worth makes royalty look middle class, and who, according to investigative journalist Tom Bower, may have bankrolled the rise of Meghan Markle long before the world even knew who she was. That's right. Bower says Meghan wasn't just a struggling actress or a self-made duchess. She was, brace yourself, a sugar baby, linked to none other than Ty Warner. Yes, that Ty Warner, the reclusive genius behind the Beanie Babies empire, a man with ties in fashion, real estate, luxury hotels, and quiet power, a man worth billions. And a man who, Bower claims, didn't just invest in plush toys, but in Meghan Markle. Sounds insane. Too crazy to believe. That's exactly what they want you to think. Because the whispers aren't new. They've been swirling in elite circles for years, drowned out by palace denials, PR spin, and a sea of flattering headlines. But now, the dam has broken. And when Prince Harry reportedly walked into a Los Angeles divorce office, alone, no bodyguards, no fanfare, the questions stopped being just rumors. They became real. What did Harry find out? Why did he suddenly vanish from the public eye right before their supposed anniversary celebration? And how does a reclusive billionaire from Chicago, a man never seen with Meghan publicly, tie into all of this? It all started with a whisper Tom Bower decided to chase. And now, that whisper is a roar. Let's rewind the clock. Back before Buckingham Palace. Back before the world knew the name Meghan Markle. Let's go to Los Angeles, circa 2006. Where an ambitious young woman was chasing Hollywood fame, and a quiet deal was reportedly struck behind closed doors. A deal that would reshape her life, and eventually, shake the very foundation of the British monarchy. Flashback, the Hollywood mirage. Hollywood is full of illusions. Everyone's someone, until the camera zooms out. Meghan wasn't a household name in those early years. She was background filler in low-budget movies, a briefcase model on Deal or No Deal, and a woman who never quite cracked the A-list despite all the right moves. But something shifted around 2012. Suddenly, she had a new wardrobe, new contacts, new connections to elite society circles, from Soho House elites to UN appearances and charity events usually reserved for the well-funded. So where did the sudden access come from? According to Bower, it wasn't just luck, hustle, or Hollywood magic. It was money, serious money, coming from one direction. And no, not the band. From Ty Warner, the man who created the Beanie Babies craze and then disappeared from public life like a magician after his final act. You see, Ty isn't the kind of billionaire who wants fame. He doesn't do interviews. He doesn't throw loud parties. He operates in silence. And that's what makes him dangerous. And when Bower started connecting the dots between Warner's properties and Meghan's mysterious trips, the picture that emerged wasn't pretty. Not for Harry, not for the monarchy, and definitely not for Meghan. The sugar baby allegation. Let's pause. What does it really mean to be a sugar baby? It's not just about luxury. It's about exchange. Time for money. Presents for protection. Fame for favors. And Bower claims Meghan was caught in that exact web. That her rise wasn't fueled by auditions or talent agents, but by one man's financial backing and silent support. And this wasn't a one-time arrangement. There were apartments, trips, introductions to high-value circles. It explains, Bower says, how an unknown actress got into the inner sanctum of global elites. Because she wasn't just dating. She was selected. Why this story matters now. But hold on, you might say. Even if that were true, what does it matter now? Everything. Because the marriage between Meghan and Harry wasn't just a love story. It was a merger. of Hollywood and royalty, of narrative and legacy, of brand and bloodline. And if it's true, even partially true, that the foundation of this story was built on a hidden financial deal with a billionaire, then it means Harry wasn't just in the dark. He was manipulated. It means the crown's most rebellious prince gave up everything, his titles, his country, his military ranks, for a woman who may have been playing a much older, more calculated game. A game with billion-dollar backers. And that's where it gets dark. Because according to sources, when Harry learned the full scope of Meghan's past connections, including Warner's name, something in him cracked. The silence in Montecito became unbearable. The Netflix deals weren't enough to plug the emotional leaks. And for the first time, Harry allegedly walked into a divorce office in Los Angeles. Not as a prince, but as a man who realized he might have been a pawn. The curiosity gap. Now, don't get this twisted. This isn't about shaming Meghan. It's not about judging anyone's hustle. But if there's one thing the royal family has never tolerated, it's secrecy disguised as sacrifice. Because if Meghan knew this story could come out, if she knew Bauer was closing in, then everything she's done over the past year suddenly looks defensive. The silence, the flurry of docuseries, the sudden PR swings from activist to mother to victim to mogul. It wasn't evolution. It was preemptive damage control. And now that Bauer's allegations are live, now that the sugar baby claims are no longer buried in redacted emails or unnamed sources, Meghan's team is in full panic mode. Because the last thing she expected was Harry finding out this way. The clock is ticking. Every great scandal has a countdown. Tick. Ty Warner's lawyers prepare to deny or stay silent. Tick. Meghan scrambles to control the narrative before it spins out of her hands. Tick. Harry walks out of a lawyer's office and back into a world that doesn't see him as a prince, but as a fool. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Ty Warner? He's not denying the connection. He's not confirming it either. He's doing what billionaires do best. Nothing. Which means the truth might have already been told. In silence. And if that silence cost Harry his peace, his marriage, and his future, then the damage is already done. Because just when you think it couldn't get worse, just when Harry thought he'd sacrificed everything for the woman he loved, he found out the truth. But what he does next, that's where the real shock begins. And it starts with a wire transfer, a yacht, and a billionaire who doesn't play games. Before she was royalty, she was making late-night calls, but not to casting agents. You ever wonder how some people just seem to skip the line? You know the type. Struggling actors working 2 jobs, sharing 1-bedroom apartments, living on ramen and rejection letters. That's the Hollywood norm. But Meghan Markle? Her story doesn't quite fit that mold. Sure, the narrative was polished, a hard-working biracial actress who finally broke through the barriers, landing suits, winning hearts, climbing the industry. Sounds inspiring. Almost too perfect. Because when you look closely, and we mean really look, there are missing pages in Meghan's origin story. Quiet moments that don't line up. Trips that were never explained. Luxury that didn't match the paycheck. And calls. Calls that were never meant to be discovered. Let's rewind. Not to Buckingham Palace. Not even to Suits. Let's go back to Los Angeles, around 2006 to 2011. Meghan Markle was a face in the crowd. Some minor roles here and there, a background nurse on General Hospital, a blink and you'll miss it character in Horrible Bosses, and yes, a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal. She wasn't broke, but she wasn't balling either. So how did she afford the lifestyle she had? How did someone earning modest TV wages live like an heiress in training? Because here's where it gets strange. According to Tom Bauer, it wasn't just the acting work. It wasn't the blog. It wasn't hustle. It was someone else. Someone powerful. Someone rich. Someone who called at night. The Beverly Hills apartment that raised eyebrows. Meghan was living in Los Angeles. Nothing odd there. But her apartment? Not the usual struggling actress digs. We're talking sleek finishes. Top-tier security. Proximity to the kinds of restaurants that attract producers, not assistants. And she was seen, frequently, being driven to and from by a private car service. Not Uber. Not a boyfriend's car. A driver. Now here's where things really pick up. Around this same time, Meghan began showing up at high-end industry parties. Events you don't just walk into. These aren't open bar mixers for C-listers. These are invitation-only, no press, No phones galas where billionaires mingle with rising stars or investments, depending on who you ask. And one name kept circulating behind the scenes. Ty Warner. Yes, the Beanie Baby guy. But he wasn't there for toys. He was known, in certain circles, to fund women. Not relationships. Not marriages. Deals. Let that sink in. The late-night calls. According to sources close to Bauer's investigation, Meghan was reportedly in regular communication with a man whose voice she never named aloud. Only T. Or the angel. Sounds ridiculous, right? Except multiple witnesses, former friends, insiders, describe her making hushed calls from balconies, always checking over her shoulder, always at night. No names. Just requests. Trips were booked mysteriously. A first-class flight to Paris. A private villa in Capri. A suite at the Four Seasons in Chicago, paid in full. And when she returned, new shoes, new jewelry, a Cartier watch that sparked rumors even back then. She said it was a gift from a friend. But whose friend gives out five-figure watches to an actress who hadn't yet booked a recurring TV role? Better question, who could afford to? And why her? The Soho House connection. Let's talk about Soho House, the ultra-exclusive members-only club that became Meghan's second home. This wasn't just a place to grab coffee. This was networking on steroids. Soho House is where industry deals are whispered into espresso cups. It's where rich men find beautiful women to decorate their empty seats at charity events. Now, Meghan didn't just visit Soho House. She became known there. Friendly with Marcus Anderson, the man many say introduced her to Prince Harry later. But before that, he was the gatekeeper to Meghan's access. And according to reports, he also had deep ties to the kinds of men who fund actresses for company. Marcus and Meghan were seen dining frequently. But what's more interesting? Ty Warner owned a penthouse suite just blocks from the Soho House Toronto location. Coincidence? Or proximity by design? Bauer says Meghan made several calls from that very suite. A detail confirmed by hotel staff who remembered her distinctly. Because she tipped in cash. Always crisp. Always fresh bills. Power, but at a price. Let's be clear, none of this was illegal. There are entire industries built around companion contracts, sugar relationships, patronage deals. But what makes this so explosive, so dangerous, is the cover-up. Because if Meghan did have a financial relationship with Ty Warner and kept it hidden through her rise, that's one thing. But if she used that backing to manufacture a public image of struggle, independence, and feminist empowerment, then it becomes something else. It becomes manipulation. It becomes deception. Especially to those who bought the brand she was selling. Especially to the one person who gave up everything for her, Prince Harry. The money trail. According to Bauer, several payments were traced to a shell company with indirect ties to Warner's holdings. Nothing direct. That's the point. Layered transactions. Offshore accounts. Payments disguised as consulting gigs. But the timelines match. When Meghan stopped struggling, those payments start. When she upgraded her wardrobe, her travel, her brand, the accounts reflect similar transfers. Now, Meghan has denied any form of arranged relationship with anyone. But as Bauer writes, denial isn't proof. And silence, especially from Warner's camp, isn't innocence. Because billionaires don't play by our rules. They don't need press conferences. They just vanish. And behind them, a perfectly tailored trail of plausible deniability. Audience question. Ask yourself this. If a regular woman suddenly gets access to elite parties, high-end travel, and powerful gatekeepers, but has no acting breakthroughs, no record deal, no IPO, no lottery win, what's the missing variable? Because Hollywood is many things, brutal, dazzling, fake, but it's rarely free. Back to the balcony. One of Meghan's old neighbors, anonymously quoted in Bauer's investigation, described seeing Meghan on the phone, pacing on her balcony. Always barefoot. Always late at night. Always whispering. Sometimes laughing. Sometimes crying. And one night, she said something loud enough to be heard. For chilling words. You promised me forever. No one knows who she was talking to. But the next morning, she was gone. Not for good, just on another trip. Another city. Another suite. Another untraceable deposit. And when she came back, she was different. More calculated. More polished. More protected. Like someone had given her a script, and she'd memorized every word. A pattern emerges. Meghan wasn't the only one. Several other women, models, influencers, actresses, had been linked to Warner through the years. Always unconfirmed. Always silent. Some ended up married. Others disappeared from public life. But Meghan? She climbed higher. She took the tools she'd been given, the resources, the access, the polish, and turned them into a global brand. And eventually, she found her crown. But now, that crown is shaking. Because Prince Harry, after years of defending her, protecting her, burning bridges for her, reportedly stumbled across something. A name, a transaction, a timeline. And he asked a question he never thought he'd have to ask. Who was helping you before me? And Meghan? She didn't answer. Because just when Harry thought the only thing that mattered was their future, he realized he didn't understand her past. And what he uncovered next would break more than just his heart.